This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday. And you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with multi-view, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action. Make your Sundays more magical. And also, YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC on a delightful Wednesday, the 14th of August. How are we all, folks? Are we chipper? I'm feeling quite chipper today. I've no idea why. Absolutely none. The internet is in meltdown because of the Zubimendi thing. Still, there are people having temper tantrums because reports today, one from Romano, which you obviously take with a pinch of salt, but he says personal terms are agreed between us and Mamardashvili. Then you've got Joyce coming out and saying, yeah, Liverpool are looking at this deal. It's a deal they think makes sense. It's a deal they want to push on with. And you've got people melting down about the potential of us signing the best young goalkeeper in world football. And that's what he is. He is the best young goalkeeper, aged 23 and under, in world football. And in fact, if you can find me a goalkeeper who's 24, 25, who's better than him, I'd be pretty surprised. Like, if we look at the great goalkeepers in the world right now, Mike Maignan is 28. Gregory Kobel is 26. I don't think he's great yet, but I think he gets there. Vicario's 27. Alisson, obviously, is, 31 now? Alisson is 31. Jan Oblak is 31. Emi Martinez is 31. Thibaut Courtois is 32. Ter Stegen is 32. I mean, Manuel Neuer is 48 or something. Like, there's not a lot of great young goalkeepers around. He is a great young goalkeeper. Statistically phenomenal. 6'6", unbelievable shot stopper, dominant on crosses, organises his defence well. He's decent with his feet. He's not elite with his feet. There are times where he can look a little bit panicked. That's fair. That's absolutely true. But I do feel that's often part of who he plays for, more so than him himself. He's been outstanding for Valencia the last couple of seasons. Last summer, he turned down United. Sam Maguire, who I would trust implicitly on this, is reporting that he turned down Chelsea earlier this summer. And now we see them scrambling around buying multiple goalkeepers to try and make up for the fact they couldn't get this fella. And I know it's not something to base anything really on. But if you go on Transfer Market and you just look up most valuable players and just filter the goalkeepers, the most valuable goalkeeper is Giorgi Mamardashvili. He is the most valuable goalkeeper in the world, according to whatever metric they use. Tied with him is Diogo Costa, These are at 45 million euro. Diogo Costa is not nearly as good as Mamardashvili. He's also a year older. Now, Mamardashvili, I think, turns 24 in a couple of months, or maybe it's a couple of weeks. I'm not sure when. Let's have a look. But, like, I would put him above Donnarumma at this point, because I don't think Donnarumma has developed properly in the last couple of years. He's also not great with his feet. Mamardashvili's birthday is at the end of September, so he'll be 24 then. If we can buy him this summer, loan him out for a year, let's say he stays at Valencia for the year, and according to the reports, he would be happy to go on loan for a year or two. So maybe 25, 26, we loan him to a Premier League club, potentially Bournemouth or somebody like that, and he gets Premier League experience. And then at 26, 27, he joins us. And that would be, I would imagine, the time when Alisson Becker would then leave. And look, Ali will still be a top goalkeeper at that point, but there has been rumbling for about 18 months that Alisson would potentially like to go. There was quite substantial rumbling at the start of this summer that it was something that he was considering. He's also become a little bit injury prone in the last couple of years. Obviously, we've had this past season, he missed 10 Premier League games and barely played in games outside the Premier League. He missed 5 games in the league in 2021. He missed 9 in the year we won the title. So there is an injury risk with Ali. But the thing is, people are trying to frame this as, oh, well, Alisson wants to go because there's no ambition at the club. Right. Where would Alisson go? Right. Being honest now, where's Alisson going to go that's a step up from us? We're not going to sell him to Arsenal. We're not going to sell him to City. And I don't think Arsenal's a step up from us anyway. I don't think they're any better than we are right now. He's not going to go to City. So the realistic options, Real Madrid, well, they've got Thibaut Courtois. Barca, they've got Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Now, you can make arguments, of course, that Ali's a better goalkeeper than both, and I believe he is better than both, but he's not enough better to warrant the outlay to bring him in. Atletico Madrid, I don't think he would view that as any kind of upgrade, nor should he, but they've also got Jan Oblak. He might want to go back to Italy. That would not be anything to do with ambition. That would be to do with lifestyle. None of the Italian clubs are a step up from us. None of them. None of them have a bigger chance of winning the European Cup than we do. And Milan have Mike Maignan, who they're very happy with. Juve's just bought a new goalkeeper, who they're very happy with. He could go to Inter, potentially. And who would blame him if he wanted to go and live in Milan? He loved life in Italy when he was there before. But that's not a transfer based on ambition. That's a transfer based on lifestyle. The only potential transfer based on ambition, you could argue Bayern. Who knows who their manager will be in 2 years? It certainly won't be Vincent Kompany. They might be looking for a goalkeeper. And maybe that's where he would go. And you could argue, he goes there, he's going to win league titles and he'll have a shot at winning the Champions League. You could argue that. But, at the end of the day, if we've gotten the best years of Alisson, which we will have, we've had 6 years of him, we're going to get another 2, I would say, that'll be 8 years of him. Those will be his best years. And yes, he might still be a very good goalkeeper, but in 2 years, when he's 33, and Mamardashvili is 25, I would rather have Mamardashvili. Because you have to project ahead. And Alisson is going to decline. Mamardashvili will only get better. I can't understand why anybody would be against us doing this. I really can't. It's very obvious Caoimhín Kelleher is not good enough to be our long-term starter. He's multiple years older than Mamardashvili and not as good as him right now. Not nearly as good as him right now. So I don't understand why anybody would be against this. If we sell Kelleher next summer, Jaros becomes the number 2 and maybe Pitaluga becomes the number 3 or Harvey Davies or somebody else, or we bring in an older keeper, whatever. And then the following summer, Ali leaves and Mamardashvili comes in. Then we've got Mamardashvili and Jaros, who'd be 25 pushing 26 and 24 pushing 25. Be a great situation to be in. And we'd have done it making a profit. Because when Ali leaves, we will make money. We will sell him for a good fee. He'll have a year left, I think, in 2026. I think he's contracted till 2027. So we'd have a year left. We will get a good fee for him. It could be that he goes to Saudi, in which case we might get a great fee for him. But we'll get a good fee for him. We'll get a good fee for Kelleher that more than cover the fee for Mamardashvili. That is smart planning. That is really smart planning. To go and get a guy this talented as an opportunistic signing and stash him for a couple of years so that there's no big shock and surprise when Ali leaves. And there's no scrambling around looking for, oh my God, who can we bring in? You're not gambling on someone like, very talented, but Anatoly Trubin. You're not gambling on a James Trafford, who may not have shown that they're of an elite level by then. They certainly haven't shown it as yet. They show a lot of talent, especially Trubin. You're not having to go to Brighton and say, oh, how much do you want for Bart Verbruggen? Because they're going to turn around and say, we want a world record fee for him. Instead, you've headed off that potential issue by future-proofing the position. That is really smart. I mean, ideally, we'd have done this 2 years ago on our Mo replacement and our Virgil replacement. I still think both of them will sign new contracts. I do. I think both of them and Trent will sign new contracts. I think they'll be done in September, maybe even October, but I think they'll get done. I think Virgil's a certainty. I think Trent, I thought at the start of the summer Trent was the most likely to leave. I now think it's a near certainty he stays. Now, it might be a thing where he stays, this is his last contract with us, and he goes afterwards. He gets sold in 2 or 3 years to Real. Because I do think he wants to go and play there. But I do think Trent will stay. Mo is a little bit different in that attackers don't generally tend to hold their peak as long. But look at the way Mo takes care of himself. And there is an example of a fella who continued to excel age 32, 33, 34, 35, largely because he took care of himself to an incredible level. And that was obviously Cristiano. And if they look at Mo and look at his track record and look at his injury history and they think, okay, well, given all we know about him, given what he's done and given how he looks after himself, and given the fact that we know he is not going to get that big contract and then get comfortable, he's going to keep thriving because what he really wants is he wants records. I think they'll be willing to give him multiple years, and I think he will want multiple years. He'll want 2 or 3 years, and I think they'll offer it to him. Now, they might offer him a little bit less money and maybe a little bit more in bonuses. Whether that is makes things difficult, I don't know. But what we know about Mo is we know the Saudis want him. But we also know they'll still want him in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Because he's Mo Salah. He's the biggest name in the Arab world for sport. Regardless of whether it's 32-year-old Mo or 36-year-old Mo, getting Mo will be massive for the Saudi Pro League. Like, let's remember, Cristiano is 39 years of age. And he went there and what? 37, just about to turn 38. And they gave him a stupid amount of money. Like an absolutely ungodly amount of money. Now, Mo, on a global scale, is not as big a star as Cristiano. But in the Arab world, he's probably a bigger star. I mean, how many Muslim athletes are more high profile than Mo? There can't be many, if any, that are more high profile than him. There certainly isn't one in the football world. I don't think, anyway. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there is, though. So I think we can convince Mo to stay. I think Mo wants to stay. He looks dynamite in pre-season. I think they'll get done. I do. But they don't have to be done now. People losing their mind that those 3 deals aren't done and just assuming it means they're leaving. Things are being prioritised. Hiring a new coach was prioritised. Appointing a coaching staff was prioritised. It's fuck all point signing a bunch of players. There's nobody there to coach them. You know, they didn't just jump in and go, okay, well, we're going to get rid of him, and we need to buy this, and that. They did a proper inventory of the entire playing staff. Everybody from the senior pros, the captain, the vice captain, all the leadership committee, bar Robbo, obviously, who didn't get to play in pre-season until the Las Palmas game. Everyone else got a proper look because they were all able to train when they came back. Robbo, obviously, with the injury, wasn't able to play or train as much as they would have liked. But they know enough about Robbo. Like, they'll know enough about him. But they've done a proper inventory of everybody from Virgil all the way down to your Harvey Blairs and Ben Dokes and Cade Gordons and all these young players. And they know now what they want to do. And as I said yesterday, my opinion is they've basically split things up into 4 categories. These are good enough. These are not good enough. These will be good enough. And these might be good enough, but we're not sure. Those who are good enough, we keep. Those who are not good enough, we sell. Those who will be good enough, we loan. And those who might be good enough, we sell them with protections on the future. And that's something that was needed at this club. Because Jurgen loved hanging on to players. He said it himself. He was about collecting relationships. He wanted that tight-knit group where everybody was together and they were together for years and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't necessarily the best thing for winning. It's a great thing for a positive atmosphere. It's a great thing for team spirit. Not necessarily the best thing for winning, for ambition. And I think whether people like it or not, what they're actually doing this summer is quite ambitious. Maybe not in the transfer market. It may turn out that we come away with a disappointing summer from a transfer point of view. But I don't think the long-term vision is unambitious. Like, Edwards wasn't just brought back for this summer and next year. He's back to run things long-term. Arna wasn't brought in just for this summer and this season. He wants to be here a long time. Richard Hughes, the same. Julian Moore, the same. These owners, I know there was talk a year ago that they were going to sell. Everything they've done this summer suggests that they're in this for the long haul. That they want to be here maybe another 10 to 14 years. Now, that could change, obviously, depending on the market, but they're putting in long-term fixes and long-term plans. And going towards a multi-club model is also a long-term commitment. And it wouldn't make sense for them to buy a second club and then sell Liverpool and still be paying the likes of Michael Edwards, Julian Ward, etc., the type of wages that are not warranted for let's just say, a second division team in Portugal or a team in Austria or something like that. You know, these are long-term moves. I also don't think we've heard the end of the Zubimendi thing. Now, I may be putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5, and I will freely admit it would not be the first time. But hear me out on this one. Okay, just hear me out on this one, and then you can start screaming at your phones or whatever you're listening to me on. So, by all accounts, Zubimendi gave a yes to Liverpool. That I don't think anyone can disagree with that. By all accounts, Liverpool then went to Real Sociedad and opened negotiations, and Real Sociedad began negotiations with us while also launching a charm offensive to try and keep Zubimendi at the club, to try and change his mind and get him to not want to join us. That's all accounts. By all accounts, they were unable to do that. And they turned around to him as a last resort and said, right, you know what? If you want to go, you have to pay your release clause. And that's what turned things. Because paying the release clause rarely happens. It rarely happens. And what it does is it paints the player in a bad light. I've spent a bit of time the last few days looking at players that have left Spanish clubs to go abroad or whatever. And as I suggested last week, the last one I can find who paid their release clause was Neymar. And we all know how Barcelona painted Neymar in the media. And my opinion, and this is the first time it's my opinion and not from all accounts, is that he didn't want that. He didn't want to be made out to be the villain who pushed his way out of his boyhood club. And he decided to stay where he is. Not because he wanted to, not because he didn't want to join Liverpool, but because he didn't want to be cast as a prick. Now, today, Paul Joyce has dropped a snippet in his article that 2 sources have said that contract negotiations between Real Sociedad and Martin Zubimendi are not going well.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
And today, we have a report from Spain saying that Liverpool are preparing to go back in for Zubimendi with an offer over the 60 million. 51 million pounds, 60 million euro is the buyout. Now look, again, this might be me putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5, but when I look at the reporting around the Zubimendi thing over the last couple of days, the Zubi or nothing, no plan B, that's briefed. And it's briefed for 2 reasons. Number one, it's briefed to dampen the noise. The club are fuming that his name got out. They didn't brief anybody that they were going to move for Zubimendi. Ornstein got the story, called the club for confirmation, already had multiple sources, and was going to run it anyway. The club couldn't deny it at that point. Then they had to brief the local press. But they didn't want his name getting out there. And as Sam Maguire said to me the other day, if it hadn't gotten out there and it had fallen apart, none of us would have known until like October, November, at a quiet point in the season. James Pearce would have had a little snippet in an article. Liverpool inquired about Zubimendi, but talks never went anywhere. Because this happens all the time. All the time. There's probably been 25 deals in the works for Premier League clubs this season that fell apart and nobody reported on. But they will come out at different points during the season. Because that's just what happens. We didn't want it in the press, but Ornstein found out through other channels. So they don't want noise around what they're working on. It's the same reason yesterday James Pearce was reporting that they had no plans to move for Mamardashvili, and today Joyce is saying, yeah, no, it is a deal they're looking for. So they wanted to dampen the noise. And if they're moving on to plan B, which I'd imagine is probably Varela, just stylistically, he's the one that would make sense. I don't think they'll want that in the press until it's done. Or it could be somebody else. It could be 10 Coop miners, for all we know. I don't think they'll want it in the press. But also, the Zubi or nothing, no plan B, you're the chosen one, you're the one we want. It does kind of seem directed at an audience of one. Given it's been very publicly said. And it's probably been relayed to him. Like, we're desperate to have you. You're the only one we want. We don't have any alternatives. We just want you. Because again, he wanted the move and probably still wants the move. Just doesn't want to be painted as a prick. Which is what Real Sociedad would do. Spanish clubs and Spanish media are ruthless. And they will paint him up as a prick. It wouldn't be the first time, it won't be the last time. Like, look at Mikel Moreno, right? His contract's up in a year. And Arsenal are trying to get him. If he goes to Arsenal, 100% stories will leak that Real Sociedad offered to make him the highest paid player in their history, and yada, yada, yada. And they will paint him as a prick. Because that's just what they do. Because they don't ever want to admit that a player left for a bigger club. I don't think the Zubimendi thing is over. I think we will try again. I don't think we'll hear about it if it's not successful. I really don't think we'll hear about it if it's not successful. I think it'll be a case where we'll go back to them and say, look, we'll pay 65, but we'll pay it in installments. Let's just get this deal done. Everybody comes away happy. And look, here's Stefan Bajcetic on loan for a year. Here's Tyler Morton as part of the deal, whatever. So, again, I could be putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5. But I just don't think we've heard the last of that deal. And I do believe there will be an alternative. Another player being linked with us at the moment, not sure where this one came from. I saw it on, I want to say it was Anfield Sector, but it could have been the Anfield Talk that I saw. Maxime de Kuiper, the Belgian left-back who can play left-back, right-back, right side of midfield, left side of midfield, left wing, right wing, and a little bit of central midfield. 23, turns 24 in December. A good player, no question. Last season was his first year breaking into the Club Brugge team. after 2 years on loan at Westerlo, one in the second division, then one in the top flight. A little bit of a late bloomer, obviously. Great versatility. Would be a little bit of an underwhelming signing if he is the left back that we bring in. We need a starter. It's very, very simple. Now, it could be a thing that we bring in him. We also bring in a left-footed centre-back who's going to play left-back with the idea of we'll get rid of Costas this summer. So we'll carry 3 for a year. And then we get rid of Robbo next summer. And then we've got the left-footed centre-back and the Kuipers. So we have different options there. We've got 2 very different profiles to fit in that position. He'd certainly be a cost-effective signing. Don't think he'd cost much more than sort of 12 to 15 million. He has just signed a new deal, but the report I saw, or the aggregation of the report that I saw, said that the new contract wouldn't in any way prohibit him leaving. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We do maybe have an agent that can work from the Club Brugge side for us to convince him of how wonderful it would be to play for Liverpool, because Simon Mignolet is still there. He's done really well, actually, Mignolet. He's been there 5 years, and he has won 4 league titles and a Belgian Super Cup in his 5 years there. Fair play to him. So yeah, I mean, the Kuipers is, like I say, is being mentioned. Whether there's any truth to it or not, I don't know, because I don't remember who was credited as the journalist on the aggregation piece. And I don't know if it was Anfield Sector. It could have been Transfer Room. It could have been the Anfield Talk. They all put out the same kind of stuff. So who knows? Right, this is Anfield. They have a profile up on Mamardashvili. There is a what's possible for 24-25. This is Anfield. It's in its 23rd season. 23 years them boys have been doing this. Fair play. Fair play to them. Like I always say, it is the best place to go for coverage of Liverpool in the written word. They do a really good job, and for the most part, a really, really good group of lads and ladies working for them. Matt is a gentleman. Joanna's outstanding. Young Henrold writes for them on the regular. Jack Lusby's obviously a top guy as well. So really good group of lads and ladies. So congrats to them on 23 years. And here's to 23 more. Sepp Vandenberg sees club drop transfer interest due to Liverpool's stubborn attitude. We don't want to sell him on the cheap. Don't think we really want to sell him, if I'm being honest. So I'd be more than happy to keep him. PSV, I think, are the club that have dropped interest. There's also, like, of the clubs that are interested, Hoffenheim, they've just signed Bella Kotchup, so rule them out. Mainz don't have the money. Gladbach don't have that kind of money. Wolfsburg might. Leverkusen would, but I don't think Leverkusen are really going to go and buy Sepp Vandenberg. Like, if they're losing Jonathan Tah, I think they'll go for someone a little bit more experienced, a little bit older. I could be wrong, but Tah was an every game starter for them. Not that he shouldn't have been, but he was. And I think they'll go for someone that's more of a known quantity. Wolfsburg, I think, is the one that could come in for him. And maybe there's a Lacroix for Sepp Swapsy that can be done there, because that would make sense for both parties. We'd get a good centre-back, they'd get a good centre-back, and maybe there doesn't need to be any money exchanged. But both can write it into their accounts that they got 18 million, and that helps everybody. What's my good buddy Dave O.C. got going on today? Stefan Basic told he can leave on loan. Dave had the exclusive on that, and Jimbo reported yesterday the same. Okay, let's have a look at this. Liverpool among plethora of European giants following Club Brugge talent. That is the Kuiper piece about Thiago and his coaching stint with Barca. Arne Slot's first Premier League press conference details ahead of Ipswich. Let's see what else there is here. A couple of pieces on Mamardashvili. Revealed Liverpool plan for Mamardashvili if after transfer is completed. Let's have a look and see. Fabrizio Romano offers worrying view on Liverpool's squad. Well, in fairness, the fella knows absolutely nothing about football, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to what Romano said about the squad. Many fans have been asking about alternatives, but at the moment I'm not able to mention of names. He just doesn't know. He doesn't know. In my personal opinion, they need a player like Zubimendi. Yeah, well, everybody knows that. I mean, that's not insight or anything. That's just, well, they tried to sign him, so clearly they need a player like that. Right. Paul Joyce revealed the key turning point. It is when Sociedad turned around and told him, look, pay your release clause or nothing. And he just clearly didn't want to do that. You know, he didn't want to be painted in a bad light, which I think is perfectly understandable. You know, look, we've done it to players that have left. We've painted them in really bad lights, and fans have just believed it and carried on believing it for 9 years, like in the case of Raheem Sterling. Blatant lies were told by Rodgers and Ayr through puppets in the media, and fans latched on to it and called Raheem Sterling a snake. Still call him a snake 9 years later. At the end of July, a two-man delegation from Anfield headed to San Sebastian, where they were given assurances that the player, who had previously turned down advances from Arsenal and Bayern Munich, will be willing to leave the Basque club he joined at the age of 12. The meetings lasted much of the day and involved the player's agent Inaki Ibanez, and the party left believing a deal was possible, even if his release clause was to be paid in one sum. They told Zubimendi he would have to trigger the clause himself rather than Sociedad coming to an agreement with Liverpool. In other words, this is Sociedad. In other words, he would have to force his way out of the club that means everything to him when he wanted to walk out the front door with their blessing. He opted not to do so, and that was the moment the deal collapsed. But as I said, I don't think we've heard the last of it. There's a piece about the potential plans for Mamardashvili and, you know, what we could do with him. Anfield Watch today. We won't bother with Liverpool. Well, we'll check Liverpool.com and see if they've got any hopes and dreams for us. They often do. Arne Slot explains plan for Ryan Gravenberch amid Martin Zubimendi transfer snub. Exclusive, Liverpool told yes by player weeks after he rejected Chelsea. That's Sam's exclusive on Mamardashvili. Robertson and Nunes miss out. Arne Slot's first Liverpool lineup predicted. I think the lineup that started against Sevilla is probably the one that will play. Trent Alexander-Arnold gets final verdict in controversial paddle court planning row. Oh, right. Graham Souness says Saudi Arabia move is unattractive for Liverpool. Is attractive for Liverpool stars. Yeah, because Graham Souness, I love Graham Souness as a player, as a pundit, not as a manager. But he is entirely money motivated, so let's not put too much into that. Journalist reveals truth about Bruno Guimaraes after Liverpool link. So I assume this is from Pierce's story that Guimaraes was being offered around or was being linked to us. He was being offered around by his agent, is the truth of it. That's basically what happened. His agent was offering him around. He got linked to us, and I think that's how Ornstein managed to start piecing things together. Right, Ben Boxing. Alternatives to Zubimendi. I will be the judge on this, as I always am. Let's see. Okay. So then Koopmeiners, not as a holding midfielder. Absolutely not. And also the suggestion that we've pursued him extensively is completely untrue. Adrian Rabiot, absolutely not. Would be an atrocious signing. Even as a desperation move, I'd say no. Angelo Stiller, absolutely not. Morten Frendrup, absolutely not. He's a good player, he's not a 6. And Joe Gomes, again, not a 6. Not good enough on the ball. That's 5 players, none of whom are 6s. None of whom. Koopmeiners plays next to Ederson, who's the defensive midfielder there. Rabiot plays next to Locatelli, who's the defensive midfielder there. Frendrup is a box-to-box player and always has been. Really good at it, but not a 6. Stiller is not the defensive midfielder at Stuttgart. And João Gomes plays next to Mario Lemina. Another possible option could be Alan Varela, but Porto are unwilling to sell him at this stage and even gave him the captain's armband. Now, they don't have a say in whether he leaves or not because he does have a buyout clause, an actual buyout clause, not a release clause. So I don't think it matters if Porto say they're unwilling to sell him, because I genuinely believe they are willing to sell him because they're in financial trouble. Now, he has just been made captain. I don't think that would make much difference. I think that's a deal that's easy enough to do if we want to do it. Liverpool.com, time to act, Mo Salah contract and 3 more items that should be on the to-do list. As transfer deadline looms, again, Salah's contract doesn't need to be done before the transfer deadline. Thiago Alcantara is set to leave Barcelona next month after promise to Hansi Flick. There's a couple of pieces on Mamardashvili. Liverpool in talks with streaming giant over Jurgen Klopp final season documentary. Does anybody actually want to watch that at this point? 3 players Liverpool should sign after Virgil van Dijk transfer plea. We'll have a look at that. Gary Neville offers his own theory. Well, that will be utter horseshit. He's also predicted that United will finish above us, which, last season he said they'd finish in the top 4. Thiago set to leave Barca. I'd love us to go and get him to join the coaching staff. The more Thiago I can have around the club, the better. What a player. What an incredible player. What a shame. What a complete shame. It seems like it was only a 3-month deal with him and Barca, and he's going to move on. I'd imagine he probably ends up back there at some point as a coach, maybe as a manager. Liverpool are in talks with what streaming giant though? Doesn't seem to say. Oh, streaming giants. So it looks like we're just shopping it around to all of them. Right, 3 players Liverpool should sign. Okay, who have you got? One ideal transfer would be Joshua Kimmich. That would be arguably the worst move we could make this summer, would be to sign 29-year-old Joshua Kimmich, whose legs are going, who isn't a 6. And in truth, doesn't actually bring anything to us that we would want. Giancarlo Inacio, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how you can look at Inacio and say Inacio or Antonio Silva would be perfect candidates given their completely different profiles and would play very different roles in our team. And is that it? He said 3. Oh, maybe they count Inacio and Silva. Well, one of them, Inacio, would make a ton of sense. Silva doesn't really make a ton of sense for us at the moment. In time, yeah, sure. If we sell Seth and Joe, then have at it. But for now, it doesn't make any sense for us at all. Inacio does, but I do think there's probably better options out there for us. Finally, then, we will jump into AnfieldIndex.com and see what is what. We've got lots of new podcasts going on, but there is a piece about Mamardashvili, a preview of the Ipswich game, a piece about Zubimendi, another piece about Zubimendi, the new Under Pressure preseason preview. Season preview part 2 is out, as is part 3 of the scouted season preview, where we went through all 20 teams. Part 4 recorded today, out I think tomorrow. We will have another scouted this week where we kind of have a look at Liverpool. Not that there's much to talk about. Do our season predictions and talk about the Ipswich game. And what else is there? I saw something else. I saw mention of something else. Hang on 1 second till I jump into the WhatsApp group and see what Guy has put up as a schedule. Rival Recon is coming out tomorrow. A Tad Predictable will be out on EPL Index, so go and catch that there as well. And obviously, on Saturday, after the match, it is post-match Raw. I know I'm on it. I know Trev is on it. I have no idea who the third person is. I'm not sure Guy knows who the third person is yet, but that will get sorted out. And that'll do me for today. Keep the faith. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.